whether it is the economy, immigration, or for lack of a better term, wokeism, we have now let misinformation become the accepted information. It has washed over us. Elon Musk, he buys Twitter, and then he uses it almost exclusively to be a propaganda machine, and we've accepted it. We've accepted a narrative that despite an actually great economic recovery, the vibes don't feel good. So we want to reject it and get something else. And the person we are now betting on to change all of it is Donald Trump.
The feel when you're totally not pressed. The feel when we control your bodies. Hey, bitch, we control your bodies. Guess what? Guys win again, okay? Men win again. And yes, we control your bodies. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. Hi, I'm your Republican congressman. It's your body, my choice. And men, women again. Men win again. There will never, ever.
Hey, so fam, we need to talk about the fact that Donald Trump literally called immigrants vermin, which is a Hitler quote, literally said he was going to do mass deportation of undocumented immigrants, and millions of Latino families are mixed status, meaning some members are natural born citizens born in the country legally. Some members are undocumented, mixed status. He said he's going to do mass deportation. He insulted Latinos in every way you can possibly think of, including his comedian at his Madison Square Garden rally, calling Puerto Rico an island of trash. Launched his whole political career saying Mexico's not sending their best, they're sending rapists and criminals. His allies were shipping migrants from Venezuela all around the country in order to demonize migrants. Every possible insult to Latinos you can imagine has been uttered from his tiny little mouth ever since he got into politics in 2016 and presidential politics in 2016. And look at the result on Tuesday. Latino men, 54% for the man who openly disrespected them. Oh, but wait, there's more. Because we knew that white men were going to do this and vote overwhelmingly. White men are always 60-40 Republican. But every possible type of disrespect was also heaped upon women. And look at how white women voted. 52-47 for Trump, the adjudicated sexual assaulter who said he's going to protect women whether they like it or not, who closed his campaign by calling Nancy Pelosi the B word, and whose vice presidential running mate called women childless cat ladies and called Kamala Harris trash. The disrespect was so intentional and so open, but this was the result. Now, I will note that college-educated white women moved toward Kamala Harris, and college-educated white men also moved toward Kamala Harris. But overall, it was only Latinas and all other women who stuck with Kamala Harris. I also want to make sure that we knock down a very popular meme that suddenly black men were moving to Donald Trump. Nope. Trump got the exact same percentage of black voters in 2024 that he got in 2020, 12%. Kamala Harris improved just a little bit over Joe Biden with white voters because of college-educated white voters. Black voters, the same. And Latino voters plummeted because of Latino men and slightly Latinas moving toward the man who completely disrespected them and calls them vermin. Other interesting notes from the exit polls. Exit polls showed that Kamala Harris improved over Joe Biden in just 3 categories. High-income voters, she was up 11 points. Secular voters, meaning those who ain't running up to the church to try to be Christian nationalists. And college-educated white women, as I mentioned before, she was better. She did better with them by 5 points. All other shifts were minor or declines. And now my biggest takeaway from this election in terms of the demographics. And this one is heartbreaking to me as a member of Generation X. Young voters were the strongest constituency for Vice President Harris. Young voters, north of 50%. Millennials, north of 50%. And look at Gen X. Even our seniors split 50-49 in favor of Harris. Our senior citizens at least split in her favor, but not Gen X, not my generation, the generation raised on WWE and Hulk Hogan and hip hop and the F Your Feelings generation. We voted in a majority for Donald Trump, despite the fact that it is not Generation X that has economic insecurity. Gen X is doing all right. We have a little coins. The people who are really experiencing economic challenges are our kids, the Z generation and millennials. They're the ones who can't afford their lives. And they put their faith in this Black Asian woman. But we couldn't do it. The generation that grew up around hip hop that Diddy destroyed, the generation that went from 3 Feet High and Rising and Q-Tip and A Tribe Called Quest to gangster rap and Diddy, our generation condemned our children to have to fight off an autocracy because we think we're going to get a little tax cut. Generation X owes an apology to our children and our grandchildren, and we have condemned you all to a court that will be far right-wing for the rest of your lives. And you should not thank us. We did you no favors. In fact, we utterly failed you. And so the answer now is we're going to have to organize, and we're going to have to figure out a way to survive and to help our young people survive. Because the other issue is how many people didn't vote. Donald Trump got 3 million fewer votes than he got in 2020. And Kamala Harris, before California is counted, has 15 million fewer voters than Joe Biden. People chose the couch, y'all, in the most important election in our lifetime. The election that was designed to keep us out of autocracy. What a failure. What an absolute failure. And it was not a failure of Kamala Harris, who did everything she could with a few mistakes, but otherwise an almost perfect campaign. Yes, you can criticize certain things about it, but don't put that on that sister. She did everything she could to convince y'all how important it was to vote, and just a lot of y'all just failed to do it. And people who failed to show up and vote, you don't have to have voted in order to have chosen. You chose, and now we're going to have to deal with the consequences. And we're going to have to fight an autocracy, and not even like a smart autocracy, a janky, ratchet autocracy full of the absolute right-wing lunatic fringe that is now going to be running our government, including RFK Jr., who's going to be in charge of our health. Oh, this should be lots and lots of fun. It's going to be wild. Know that I will be here. I'm going to try to help y'all get through it. We're going to figure out how we're going to survive, because surviving is what we do. And Black women, love y'all. Held down the future, voted for the future, and voted for change, generational change, and so did young people. Young people showed out. College-educated voters showed out. Secular voters showed out. Latinas showed out. AAPI showed out. But everybody else, we got some work to do. So let's do it. We got this. We're going to be okay. And I love you, and I'm still here for you, and we're going to figure it out. One love, fam. But you got to start voting. Come on. It's so important. We're going to keep talking and figure out this civic shit, because you've got to participate. Failure is not an option when it comes to democracy. And now that we are on the brink of losing it, We have to figure out what to do, but we're going to do that together. I love you guys. Cheers. Peace.
Welcome to Let It Be Known News. And look, we have long championed Joy-Ann Reid, what she's brought. We've championed others, Roland Martin. Folks, it is a dawn of perhaps, they say a new day, but it is a dawn, many say the dawn of doomsday. And for the media, and I'm hoping, and I see that, glad to see our chairman, NNPA's chairman, Bobby Henry, West Side Gazette, watching. Kind of hoping this morning many of our Black publishers, as many as possible across the country, would watch. Because I saw an article in The Guardian that made a whole lot of sense. And it's an article that I've been thinking about. I could have easily wrote, I should, and still may write for Black Press of America. And it's the consequences that the media will now face. And I'm going to start this way with what they said, and then I'm going to segue into what it all means for people like Joy-Ann Reid, people like us here at the Black Press. And folks, we're going to need your support more than ever. We talk a lot about subscribing to Let It Be Known on YouTube, on the Let It Be Known page. We talk about subscribing to Black-owned newspapers in the NNPA family. We talk about that a lot. It doesn't cost you a cent to subscribe. We're going to need every subscription possible. If you want to get news and not misinformation, not disinformation, if you want to read about your cousin and how bad things are going in the prisons, or how the corner store is helping with the expenses of the little Pookie's funeral, things of that nature. We're gonna need you. And one of the reasons why we're gonna need you is that the president-elect has made his disdain for journalism very clear. His second term paralyzes, it puts in peril, I should say, the free press in the United States. It's going to be an enormous challenge. Last week, journalist Margaret Sullivan spelled out for The Guardian in black and white the threat to a free press from another Trump presidency. Trump, she wrote, poses a clear threat to journalists, to news organizations, and to press freedoms in the U.S. and around the world. He has for years, she said, stirred up hatred against reporters, calling them an enemy of the people, and referred to legitimate journalism as fake news. Kash Patel, a potential pick for FBI director or attorney general, Kash will be one or the other, has said, we're going to come after people in the media. And Project 2025, the blueprint for Trump's pending presidency, includes plans to make it easier to take journalists' emails, invade their emails, their phone records, take their notes, and even if I am working on a news article, it could be about anything. It could be about Bobby Henry, his life. They will have the right to come into any news space that I may be in, say, what are you writing? What are you working on? And we need to see. We need to know where'd you get the information from, et cetera, et cetera. You see where that's going. And we have In the Black press family, specifically the National Newspaper Publishers Association, in addition to this program, which has represented this organization as the front-facing, everyday, hardworking, blue-collar news outlet for NMPA. There are imitations, but we are the original, and we continue to do that. We were on the streets throughout DC over the last few days, including Election Day, of course. We've been there on our own. Greer and I have decided a long time ago that inaction is unacceptable. We decided a long ago that somebody needed to make sure that the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Black Press USA, was on the minds, the lips of people everywhere, and for good reason. Now, we could talk all we want and lament and dissect this election. Does you no good. I watched Kamala Harris's concession speech, and you know what? She deserved the applause and all that stuff. I just it fell on almost deaf ears, and I'll tell you why. Because this idea of okay, we're going to show you the right way to concede. But miss me with that, as Korea likes to say. You know why? You know why? Because you're going back, and I'm not blaming her. You're going back to your wealthy lifestyle, and make no mistake, Doug and Kamala will be fine financially and otherwise. Joe Biden is going to live out the rest of his days somewhere on the beach in Delaware. And while they may cringe at the bloodshed that's going to happen, personally, they're not going to be as affected as you and me. Well, what could they have done? They could have done a lot of things differently, but that's still beside the point. It's beside the point. Um, no, it's not a criticism of the vice president. What I'm saying is, care less about this concession speech when you're talking want to do it right, and somebody else has not only shown you that they could care less, and they never conceded. This guy, Donald Trump, never conceded from 2020 and doesn't have to. The idea, the idea that with everything that has happened, with what you now know, I was hoping for people who supported the Democrats. I was hoping for a more. She waited. She waited. She didn't. She composed herself. She didn't go out that night, election night, and give a speech and concede. But I was hoping for a more pointed and I guess a little bit of not disappointment but anger, because it's time. What do you got to lose now? It's time to put it all out there. Democrats for so long have taken this "we go high" road. I'm looking for Joe Biden and to say, "Hey, this is what I'm gonna do." Somebody even floated, and people say this is a crazy idea. When I first thought about it, I was like, it's symbolic, doesn't mean anything. Why not? Why not uh, resign right now, President Biden, and allow Vice President Kamala Harris to finish the term? Just hey, symbolically anyway. It's more than symbolic. It's a statement. The last stand. Joy says democracy is about to end. It's over. It's over. And I understand, Dr. Nicole, about being graceful or whatever. There's nothing great. You saw Nick Fuentes' video. You saw that. My point is, for Black-owned outlets, Bobby Henry, this idea of fooling around, this idea of the concept of a plan. We need a true, concrete sit down, as you guys like to say, come to Jesus moment with all of our publishers, and not one of them should sit it out. Not one should sit it out. I don't care what differences they might be, but this idea of flying by the seat of your pants, not having a plan, a collective plan. We at death's door, folks. I'm talking about journalism. Journalism is at death's door. And you got not only, it's one thing, you get a president, no matter who he might be, who might not like certain things, but you got a guy, if he says he wants to get rid of journalism, he's got people like Nick Fuentes and Steve Bannon who will ensure, even if he says it and don't really mean it, they will carry it out. And they are planning to do so. And so we gotta need everybody to step up. But you can't, Bobby Henry, ask our viewers and our subscribers and our listeners to step up if the publishers don't step up. You can't ask them to step up. You can't ask them to do something you are not willing to do. We here, let it be known, feels like we have been stepping up since day one. So now we want everybody else to join us. Strength in numbers, as they say. Strength in numbers. And I'm appealing to our viewers to subscribe, to get everybody to subscribe. It's not on you, but we are asking for that favor. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. And I'm not talking about on Facebook. I'm talking where it counts, something like YouTube, even Twitter. We have a Let It Be Known news producer page. Doesn't cost a cent. If the New York Times can come out, one of the leaders in disinformation and misinformation, which is all of mainstream. If they can come out and say we got 11 million new subscribers, or we hit the 11 million subscriber mark, and if the Washington Post can lose 250,000 subscribers and still have a few million subscribers, come on, y'all. We know y'all can do it for us, with us, because this is it. This is it. It's the seventh game of the World Series. It's the bottom of the ninth. The bases are loaded and the count is full. We've seen the celebration of the MAGA people. You saw Fuentes and others on the platform saying openly, talking about revenge against liberals and enemies of Trump. One such post read that there has to be as many traitors executed as he has days in office. There has to be as many traitors executed as he has days in office. They said, build the gallows, restore the republic. Other posts include references to using military tribunals and executions, as well as armed raids, with one post in particular standing out saying the new Department of Justice must utilize armed raids on Democrat deep state homes. You saw what happened to Nancy Pelosi's husband. This is what they're talking about. If this is what they're talking about. Another viral meme had the caption in bold letters, release the Project 2025 Handmaid's Tale rape squads. This guy, Christopher Pulhas, who is the leader of the neo-Nazi group Blood Tribe, who infamously helped fuel false stories about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, posted, quote, "Thanks, Trump. Cheaper gas will make it easier to spread white power across the whole country." And we saw uh, what happened at Madison Square Garden. And then there, of course, is Evan Kilgore, who of Turning Point USA, this right wing group, made a trolling post on Twitter, said this: "Women," he wrote, "women back to the kitchen. Abortions illegal. Gays back in the closet. Interracial marriages banned. Illegals, pack your bags." Folks, these are not, 2020, after losing, we saw what the true definition of sore loser. We are seeing uh, sore winners. Dr. McCole says many people, like the slaves Harriet Tubman tried to free, still do not know that they have no freedom, except we just gave away ours. Shaking my head. Unfortunately, they will find out the hard way and too late, and by then it will be an uphill battle because we just rolled ourselves downhill. Orange G says the Black press made the Negro League Black service members during World War II, the Civil Rights Movement, and other historical events successful. We must support and defend the Black press. And the Black press must do that themselves as well. We can't put it all on you guys. And yeah, some may say it's a mute point if they're shutting us down. Here's the thing, and I was thinking about this. And there's another thing, another fallout from all of this, California. But people like Joy, because we saw um people like Jeff Bezos pull that endorsement of Vice President Harris, and Jeff Bezos came out and showed you who he really was yesterday. Major congratulations to Donald Trump, he says, and looks forward to working with Trump and was very happy for him. They all knew. Um, and again, as I put in one of the articles, quoting several people who said, Black folks, you have no allies. None. Zero. Zip. You're on your own. But the thing is, so these media, so you people like Joy, they all, MSNBC and CNN, they had been showing their true colors anyway, and especially at CNN. So you're going to see people like Joy being gonna have to follow the pattern of a Roland Martin. Roland said, "You know what? These networks, the heck with them. I'm gonna do my own. I'm gonna have to do my own." And so Bobby Henry and NMPA, there's gonna be a lot of talent, Black talent out there who's gonna be looking for a place to um looking for a place in which their voices can continue to be heard. Powerful voices. And it is my urging that ducks get in a row and make sure that they are offered some sort of outlet. We know that money is an issue when it comes to talent, certain talent, but perhaps there are other ways. There are other ways. But it's that look, it is what it is what they say, but y'all have to understand. We have to this Spelman College held an emergency meeting in which they demanded every single student, every single faculty, if possible, all the alums, everyone gather to, among other things, have a plan now that this election has gone the way it has. I applaud them. This was a demand. This was not a um, invitation that said RSVP yes or no or maybe. There was no box for no and maybe. Cheryl Madison says she wonders how many advertising dollars were spent in the black press by the Harris Trump campaign. I don't know what Trump spent with the black press. I do know that there are some members of the black press that uh, in the past, I don't know about this cycle, but in the past have taken ads and run ads for the Trump um, Pence campaign. Um, I would imagine that there were some. I don't know though. I don't know. Maybe it got to the point where it was just too volatile and they felt like, nah, we can't do it this time around. I don't know. And the vice president came in, like she said in her concession speech, 107 days. She highlighted that she only had 107 days. Um, I can tell you that and okay, it's always a matter of you could do better. And believe me, and there's no secret. There was a whole big press conference. The Biden campaign came to the Black Presses Conference in Baltimore and announced a $1.5 million ad buy. More recently, um, they the DNC, which had done absolutely zero with the black press, did go to some select black-owned newspapers in the NMPA family and did small deals. There's some after elections cleanup stuff that probably needs to be done by the DNC. So, I know there's some hoping that you know they can cut some sort of deal and do something on that end. But you got to plan for the future. You got to plan for the future now. And exactly. You know, w- yes, exactly. Greer. But they and they need the DNC, Jamie Harrison, and they need to, have those nightmares and have those what ifs. What if we would have properly engaged the black press? That's their demon that they're going to have to deal with, particularly those who are going to be directly in the firing line of Donald Trump. Those who rest assured, there's going to be some. We talked about those military tribunals and him going after his political enemies. When you know all that is at stake, and you decide to alienate a major, major source of getting information to Black and Latino people because of whatever pettiness that may have occurred in the past, or maybe it wasn't so petty in your view, but whatever, you're going to have to now deal with the fact that, man, if I only had wrote that check to the black press, And if you want to prepare for going forward, maybe it's a good idea. You got money left over in the bank. Uh, I don't know. Some people may be counting on that. But nonetheless, Mike V says Jamie Harrison should step down and Stacey Abrams should take over, in my opinion. Does it even matter anymore? That's the problem that we knew going into this particular election. This guy says that there will never be another election. This is the last time you'd have to vote. Yeah, yeah, we understand Jamie was leaving anyway. Bobby Henry says we welcome the voice of Black journalists who speak truth to power, and he says you are absolutely right. We need to stand up together, putting petty differences aside, including all of our organizations. And exactly, Bobby made this point. Uh, the NAACP, Transformative Justice Coalition, the United Negro, what Mark Moriel's group, Urban League, NMPA, Black Press. Um, you if you don't want to do that now, if you don't have the appetite to do it now, then hey, go lay down in somebody's coffin. Uh, it's and close the lid. Bobby says America was undone this week by the disease that sits in our national DNA, white supremacy. He's quoting Cheryl Eiffel. Oren G says the DNC needs to look at Maryland. Maryland has elected a black governor and a black female senator who defeated a popular former governor. Delaware elected a black woman senator. We're just talking about going dark, do things in the dark. Yeah, well, yeah. Some things you have to make sure that it's just between you and you. It's between you and your family and those you trust. You have to plot and plan in that way. And this is why, again, um, eh, I talked to Bobby a little bit, and I agree that he and others, he can't. I'm sure he can't do it alone, but he has to. They have to all get together, and I'm talking about like he said, all the organizations. This idea of trying to outshine the other is over with. It's you know you can't try. It's over. This being the ghetto superstar is done. Teamwork is what Bobby say with the two M's. Teamwork is what makes the dream work. Mike V says democracy dies in the dark as well. Yeah, how about the Washington Post? They went dark on on their Bezos made sure that they went dark on their promotion of Harris, endorsement of Harris, and certainly democracy died. It died. The vice president urged Americans not to despair, but to stay engaged and remain vigilant in the fight to protect American democracy. And she got a little choked up, understandably so. She says, "While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign." She says, "The light of America's promise will always burn bright as long as we never give up," she says. And how about this, folks? The realization for those looking at all of the charges and convictions that Donald Trump faced. Now, one of the things he had said, one of the first things he's going to do is fire Jack Smith, and Jack Smith also is one of those people in line to be prosecuted by the Trump administration. Well, Jack Smith has said he is winding down the prosecutions now. It's over. He's going to end it. Um, he's going to go by the long-standing Justice Department policy against prosecuting a sitting president. I remind Jack Smith and others that he's not yet a sitting president, but nonetheless, I get it. Jumps in within 2 seconds, he's gonna fire Jack Smith. The swearing in, he's gonna say, "Swear I protect the oath," and soon as whoever is doing the oath, he's gonna sign a piece of paper and send people to clear out Jack Smith's office. But the trial's like he was scheduled to be sentenced this month in New York. That's not happening. And of course, Fonnie Willis won her reelection. And again, now Georgia's state charges, but still, you cannot expect her to proceed there. Yeah, and all of these generals, she's right, said that he was a danger, a clear and present danger. And n- now they are they put him back in office. They put him back. Bobby Henry says team is he spells it with 2 M's. He says together each accomplish much more. That's what the 2 M's are. So that's what we this is where we are. And here's a story that you probably now won't hear much more about, and you won't have many duplicates at all. In fact, this probably will also go away. Nice little story. Colonial Williamsburg. They are nearing the completion on the restoration of the Williamsburg Bray School, which is the oldest surviving schoolhouse for Black children in America. It was founded in 1760 by the Associates of Dr. Bray, which is a British charity. That school was established to teach enslaved and free Black children how to read, even though it was a curriculum that promoted religious submission to slavery. Um, but for the hundreds of students who passed through those doors, literacy opened possibilities far beyond their assigned roles. And so that is being restored. It's a Smithsonian uh, aligned establishment, which also um, leads to what happens now, folks, to the African American History Museum. You got to understand um, that's probably going to shutter. People say, well, why would that? Part of a big part of the agenda was that we are not going to teach in this country that slavery about slavery or that slavery was such a bad thing. You walk into those who have had the privilege of going to the African American History Museum, that history hits you immediately as you walk through those doors. And don't go to the basement. So you gotta understand that these are the things that was at stake. Just of the many, many things that were at stake. So this schoolhouse here, the Williamsburg Bray School and things like that. Heck, the way if they had their way, they would certainly reopen schools like the Williamsburg Bray School, but not to not for these type of historic purposes. They want to return you to the time where such a school was necessary. So people said it was a joke. They took it as a joke, or they didn't care. And Korea says, I hope Vivek Ramaswamy says goodbye to his family. And that's the thing. So those guys, that's what's going to be interesting too. Though people like that who thought, let me jump on this hate train and let me morph for recognition or for a dollar. And look at the lieutenant governor down there in North Carolina. Yeah, Vivek's dad chose not to become a citizen. Um, the North Carolina Mark Robinson, who had he had made such a spectacle that even the MAGA base disavowed him. You on your own, dude. What is he gonna do? What is he going to do? I saw where Ray J and Amber Rose was celebrating this. Um, I hope they understand that that group that group uh, don't like certain people, regardless if you support them or not. And a big and one of another big question, folks, um, is Mike Pence going to leave the country? Because remember, they wanted to hang him, and that feeling now is only going to be enforced. And those guys, all those folks who went away for January 6th, um, well, they're looking forward to the anniversary, because shortly after the anniversary and Trump takes office, the jails open, the pardons come fast and furious. They're coming fast and furious. And look, um, we kind of touched on this a little bit the other day, but Diddy, freedom awaits you, dude. I saw where Trump Jr. called it a conspiracy, called Diddy's investigation and arrest a conspiracy, because he said that the Democrats did that to Diddy, and it was about votes. So what does that say? He has Trump has a really good history of um, pardoning folks from the hip hop community. And the little Boosie's asking for another pardon. Bobby Hemming says, if we have never supported anything that's black owned or black without dollars, you better get ready to do it now, or else we will lose it. Yeah, Mike V says this will be the last January 6th uh, memorialization we will ever have. So that's with that. Look, I again appeal to all of you to um, hang in there with us and support us, and go to our YouTube page. Please tell everyone to do the same. I know we've asked this many a times, but now it's crunch time. It's step up to the plate time for all of us. So let's do it, guys. Let's do it. Finally, this morning, members of the Jackson family arrived at a Los Angeles area cemetery quietly, too, this week to say goodbye to Tito, more than a month after he died of an apparent heart attack. The founding member of the Jackson Five was laid to rest near his brother and father at Forest Lawn Memorial Park Cemetery in Glendale, California. Um, Many family members were spotted there at the funeral, and it was described as a pretty simple ceremony. Tito was not a flamboyant guy, and just one of those guys, nice guy, all together. Um, his a lot of his, of course, his sons and a lot of his nephews were there. Um, you see in the picture there, Michael Jackson's daughter was there, and really somber occasion for them. He was just 70 years old when he reportedly suffered a heart attack while driving from New Mexico to Oklahoma. So they laid him to rest this week. No word on why. It, they waited for about 7 weeks, but it's a family matter. So, but really, really sad sight there. Still, to me, it's more stunning, if you will, or surprising Tito's death than even Michael's. Of course, not as covered and not as, and understandably so. I mean, but not as talked about as, of course, his brothers. Not that you ever want to compare deaths. Before we go, Dr. Nicole says that, but did he have to be convicted first before he could be pardoned? Yeah, yeah, and that is true. That is true. The point is, though, he could probably see some daylight now where he probably didn't before. So what a sad sight there, though. Really, really, really sad sight there. Folks, again, we encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube page, our Twitter as well, the Let It Be Known Show Producer page on Twitter, and Let It Be Known on YouTube and on Instagram as well. And subscribe to your local Black news. It doesn't have to be local. A lot of people like the Chicago Defender, or the Amsterdam News, or Washington Informer, or West Side Gazette, Mississippi Link. I mean, it could be anywhere in the country, and it doesn't cost a thing to subscribe. So, subscribe, but also tell your friends, your loved ones, your workmates, your schoolmates. Get them. Say, hey, just hit subscribe, and we'll keep trying to keep you up to date.